right, good day, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me on another great episode of your favorite political talk show, The Truth with Ben Jokes. Now, it's another brand new Monday here in Nigeria, and the situation of the average man continues to get worse under the APC. Many properties were lost yesterday in the FCT as a result of an unnecessary clash between the Nigerian police and members of the Shiite movement, not to mention the lives that were wasted yesterday. All these are manifestations of a society that is not working. And as it has been under this administration, hardly will you recover from one sad event before another hits you. If bandits kidnap 50 today, herdsmen will eliminate 10 farmers 2 days later before you recover from news of that 50. Even bad government policies have been like that, a roller coaster. Fuel price went to 615 from 195, and before citizens could recover from that shock, the naira was floated. Before we could process those two, interest rate was raised. Before we could say jack, import duties were increased, and so on and so forth. Now, 4 farmers were killed in Southwest not long ago. 2 days later, 20 farmers were killed in Niger State. Before we could say jack, the emir of Gobir in Sokoto State, who was kidnapped, was killed. And now, 2 very, very terrible events are taking place in Nigeria right now as we speak. One is actually from that same Gobir community. Over 150 Nigerians have been abducted from that same community in Sokoto State. While the other is a national event, a move from Nigerian resident doctors that has thrown the entire nation into tension and confusion. Before I show you details of these updates and how Nigerians reacted, let me quickly show you this video. You know, when I say the nation is not working and it will never work with this present attitude of our politicians, to some, I sound like a pessimist. But now, I want you to watch this video to get the perspective of this stakeholder. See the video.
Whether we like it or not, it is going to be very difficult for us to scale through out of this kind of bogus political system that we have, where you have 460 members of the parliament sharing a national cake, doing almost next to nothing. This is not going to be possible. It is so bogus. Where you have every state donates ministerial, ministers and all of that. Where you have, the administrative might is so much bigger than the revenue.
So size of government,
the size is
big
so
size
big
and increasing. I wouldn't just say big.
The big size, increasingly big size, and it's expanding beyond measure, beyond the population. And this thing is not only at the federal level; it also goes to the states. The only thing that is working as we are today in this country is politics. That's the biggest. So factories are closing; nobody cares.
And we're expanding government, creating more commissions,
and more secretaries, more agencies, and all that. And the revenues are dwindling. That's the point. And I throw it also at the table of the National Assembly. Parliamentarians are not helping us. These are people who should know better. Checks and balances are not there. 2, in other climes, you see the parliament wearing the cap of their thinking cap to say we will need to make laws, economic laws. Amici, how many economic related laws have parliaments made in this country since 20? I think under the Obasanjo administration, they did well. But after the Obasanjo administration, economic related laws.
We saw under Obasanjo administration the contributory pension scheme.
Correct.
We saw the establishment of the Fiscal Responsibility Commission. These are agencies that appear to radically alter,
including the EFCC, including the EFCC, to look at the corruption. Issue of corruption.
But what you're saying is that lately we are not seeing these initiatives.
No, they are not there.
You heard that. Absolutely nothing is happening under this administration. Nothing is being achieved compared to what we had before in this country. But when I point this out here, some Nigerians will say I should balance my position. Balance what? There's nothing here to balance. At this current rate, under the APC, this country is only heading into a bottomless pit. We are witnessing the kind of corruption that we have never seen before as a nation in all sectors. The oil sector, in the foreign exchange sector, none is left out. We had a 2024 budget that looked like a joke, with items like 194 million naira budgeted to sink one borehole, 184 million naira for one street light, all in Godswill Akpabio's constituency. And they went further to pad that same budget with another 3.7 trillion naira, as if all these ones I mentioned are not still enough for them. And you expect us not to keep speaking up? No, we must continue to create this awareness until that day when Nigerians will say enough is enough. And we are actually getting close to that point. The people have been pushed to the wall and it is time to turn around. Point blank, period. Now, let us look at that double tragedy. Over 150 abducted in Gobir community, Sokoto state, and the devastating decision taken by Nigerian resident doctors. Let's start from the update on the kidnap. Look at how the papers reported it. Bandits kidnap over 150 in Gobir community. Over 150 persons have been abducted by bandits who rustled over 1,000 cattle in some villages in Gobir Emirate, Sokoto state. The attack on the villages occurred few days after the kidnapped emir of Gobir, Alhaji Isa Muhammad Bawa, who was also the district head of Gatawa, was killed in captivity. The monarch was on July 29 kidnapped alongside his son and 6 others on the Sokoto Sabon Birni Road. In a viral video, the deceased, whose hands and legs were tied, was seen appealing for help to pay the ransom demanded by the kidnappers. When the deadline for the ransom payment passed, Bawa was killed. Youths in the area staged protest after the killing of the district head, forcing the state government to impose a curfew on Sabon Birni. It has now been revealed that bandits returned to the area just a few days after the death of the district head. Professor Bello Bada of the Department of English, Usman Danfodio University, Sokoto, confirmed the latest abductions. A member of the Sokoto State House of Assembly representing Sabon Birni North, Aminu Boza, said a total of 151 people were abducted between Samaye and Sabon Birni. A day after the death of Sarkin Gobri, the bandits attacked Samaye village again, killing some people and abducting unspecified others. They also attacked Yamfaruna village and abducted 22 people, and they went to the next village and abducted 11 people. So a total of 192 people have been abducted and they are still in captivity. Besides the abduction of people, we have lost over 20,000 hectares of land to the bandits. They stopped our people from cultivating the land for several years now. Over 92% of our wealth has been wasted by these bandits, he said. The lawmaker appealed to the federal government to listen to the plight of the residents of Sabon Birni. You heard that. Now, this is the security report coming out of Sokoto as we speak. And there is still no word from our security apparatus over this incident. When the emir of Gobir was killed, they vowed to make the bandits pay. But the bandits just proved that all their vows were lies. The bandits have gone ahead to defy Tinubu and the entire security. They went back to that same community and took over 192 people, abducted them. What a shame. Now, let us look at that update on resident doctors in Nigeria. They have decided to go on a 7-day warning strike. Do you know what it means for all resident doctors in Nigeria to strike? Look at how the papers reported it. Nigerian resident doctors to commence warning strike today over colleagues' abduction, reporters. After issuing warnings to the Nigerian government on its readiness to embark on strike action, the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors will commence a 7-day warning strike from today, Monday, August 26, 2024. This development is over the abduction of its member, Ganiat Popola, a medical doctor who was kidnapped nearly 8 months ago. Dele Abdullahi, NARD president, who communicated this development, noted that the decision was made during the Emergency National Executive Council meeting. The strike is commencing by midnight today. It's for 7 days. It is a warning strike and it is total. During the strike, there will be no concessions and there will be no emergency care, he said. The kidnapped victim is a registrar in the Department of Ophthalmology of the National Eye Center, Kaduna. She was abducted on December 27, 2023, along with her husband and nephew. While her husband was released in March, Popola and her nephew have remained in captivity. Members of NARD had protested in all tertiary hospitals across the nation to demand Popola's release. Professor Mohammed Pate, the coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, has petitioned the National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu and the Inspector General of Police Kayode Egbetokun to expedite the rescue of Dr. Popola. The letter titled RE Kidnap of Resident Doctor at the National Eye Center Kaduna Urgent Intervention Needed to Prevent Industrial Disharmony called for immediate action. Wow, this is a true depiction of the cliche when the center cannot hold, things fall apart. Things have totally fallen apart in this country. So from tomorrow, the sick in the society will not have the attention of resident doctors when they go to the hospitals. And shallow thinkers will blame the doctors. They'll say, doctors are trying to endanger the lives of people. But the truth is, it is just one of the manifestations of a failing nation. If things were going well, we would not be having issues like this. First of all, when the agitation for the release of their abducted colleague Ganiat Popola began, a simple dialogue, a simple, genuine dialogue between government and the executives of the Resident Doctors Association would have prevented this strike. But the APC government will never take such a sensible step. Before you know it now, they will start trying to bully these resident doctors. They will start trying to turn Nigerians against them instead of doing the right thing. But the truth is, politicians don't even need these resident doctors. Politicians treat themselves abroad. If they cough, they fly abroad immediately. So this strike does not concern them. Who does this strike directly affect? Who suffers from this strike by resident doctors? It is the average Nigerian. It is the common man. And that is why we keep telling people that as government they misbehave, it is you that suffers the most. That is why when it comes to doing the right thing in governance, you should be more honest. You should be more proactive about getting the right things to be done. When it comes to choosing who leads you, you should put your neck out. You should be willing to do anything to get the right people there, because when the government is failing, politicians don't even suffer it. It is the common man that suffers it the most. Let's look at how Nigerians reacted to this news of strike by resident doctors. Let's take some of the tweet reactions. This tweet here by Machiavelli says, giants of Africa are falling in the hands of greedy politicians. That is it. We have everything as a nation to be much, much more better than this. But the greed of the political class has haunted Nigeria thus far. And this tweet here by Bobby Martin says, Nigerians, take care of your health, oh. No sick this period, oh. That is it. Whenever things like this happen, in fact, there is no way lives will not be lost. There is no way lives will not be lost. And this is why we keep telling Nigerians that we need to get it together as a nation. We should not be having issues like this in 2024. And David Pine here says, this is really a sad development. I'm always against this because those who are responsible for this don't go to public hospitals. Their families don't. Those who would still suffer are the poor Nigerians who can't afford private healthcare. This is very true. But since the poor Nigerians know that they are the ones who will suffer when things like this happen, what are the reactions of these poor Nigerians? It is not only about resident doctors going on strike. How about insecurity? How about inflation? All other things that the common man suffers from, caused by the political class, but the political class does not suffer from. Almost every aspect of pain in this country is caused by corrupt politicians, and they don't suffer from any of them. This is something that the poor, the common man, needs to sit down and ponder upon. Is this how we are going to continue? And that's why sometimes I say I want the suffering to increase. I want it to increase. Maybe it can bring us back to our senses as a nation. Because obviously, we have a political class that is not even up to 0.0001% of the entire population, wreaking havoc. The rest of us can easily put an end to their shenanigans if we want to. So what are we waiting for? What is stopping us? It is all in our heads. It is all about having the right mentality, prioritizing our own welfare above all these other sentiments that have held us down for donkey's years. And when we do that, every other thing will easily fall in place. And that is what we keep urging Nigerians to do. But until then, make I still enter town. Make I go get some ogbonge political news wey una go like. Why? Because of una. Na I dey here, so don't go away. Don't go away.